Hours before the news broke that Don Cherry was through, his comments were discussed at this Remembrance Day ceremony in his own city.
I wasn't wearing a poppy until just recently, but it was definitely something that was in my heart already.
He should have at least thought about it before he went on the air and said it.
Here's what got them and the rest of the country talking.
You people love you that come here, whatever it is. You love our way of life. You love our milk and honey. At least you could pay a couple of bucks for poppies or something like that.
That rant from the Coach's Corner star touched a nerve across Canada.
These guys pay for your way of life that you enjoy in Canada.
At first, Cherry's employer, Sportsnet, issued an apology, as did his longtime co-host.
I owe you an apology, too. That's the big thing that I want to emphasize. I sat there, did not catch it, did not respond.
As Cherry stayed silent, this afternoon his critics got their wish. Rogers Sportsnet said, following further discussions with Don Cherry, it has been decided it is the right time for him to immediately step down.
The writing was on the wall for a little while now, but when it's time to go, it's time to go.
I think it's about time that he takes a much-needed retirement.
It's Don Cherry being Don Cherry, and it's getting scary that we can't say what we want in this country.
NHLers also weighed in.
Hockey's supposed to bring people together, and there's no place for stuff like that. So I think it's the right decision to be made.
This is a pattern of behavior that we've seen repeated throughout the years, repeatedly over the last couple of decades. And I think finally, obviously, there are people out there that are saying enough is enough.
Don Cherry courted controversy for many years and was under contract with CBC for most of them. He may have lost his platform, but the founder of Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi, says there still needs to be a conversation about what Cherry said.
There are far less younger individuals that I see who are not wearing the poppy or who are supporting the poppy. But we need to speak to them about it. We need to have a conversation with them about the importance of it. And I think that's the missed opportunity that Don Cherry had.
While others wonder if a simple apology could have saved his career. Lisa Sheng, CBC News, Toronto.
To the very end, Cherry maintained a legion of really loyal followers while also riling Canadians who called his viewpoints out of touch and destructive. Devin Heroux examines the double-edged dynamic that kept him in the spotlight for decades.
That song, those suits, Saturday nights with Don Cherry. For nearly 4 decades, the bombastic grapes, as many affectionately called him, spoke his truth.
How could you not like me on TV if you're a Canadian? Good old boy like me.
The cup is coming to Montreal. This guy's worse than McLean.
Never holding back, an unwavering supporter of Canadian troops.
Help the wounded. I'm sure they're their brothers. Help the wounded. Help the guys that are trying to get jobs. Help people like that. You know how many suicides there are for the Army right now? You'd be ashamed. They don't like the Canadian flag.
He was polarizing, even offensive, like when he scorned certain players for wearing protective equipment.
Most of the guys that wear them are European or French guys.
Comments that forced CBC to temporarily implement a 7-second tape delay during his broadcast in 2004.
Actually, women in the National Hockey League, I think it'd be great. I think every dressing room should have one.
Then there was this.
The rope shoulders like this are usually for women. And so they wrote in and said I was, didn't say, they said homosexual, which I thought was nice, didn't it?
Cherry was unapologetic about how he sees the world, even when it landed him in hot water. Part of the reason why so many Canadians tuned in to Coach's Corner, you just never knew what Cherry might say next.
Fair shake in life. Go out and get your own fair shake in life and work for it. Don't give me that stuff.
Despite his style, or because of it, many Canadians adored Don, landing him in 7th spot when CBC set out to determine the greatest Canadian, even outranking Wayne Gretzky.
And they said, Don, you have to change. You just have to change. You can't go on the way you are. And I said, well, Johnny Carson hasn't changed. And I went from there and I haven't changed and I'm not changing now. And that's a little treat for you fellas.
Cherry didn't change, but the times did.
There shouldn't be fighting in the game.
You people love you that come here, whatever it is.
Until this final blow proved to be too much for his employer, if not for Cherry himself.
Not the size of the dog in the fight, size of the fight in the dog. Remember that.
So, Devin, now that this is done, What are you seeing in terms of reaction to the end of Cherry's Coach's Corner career?
You know, Adrian, it's like it's always been with Don Cherry, two very strong points of view on both sides of this. So take, for example, the organization that enforces broadcast standards in this country. Over the weekend, so inundated with complaints from Canadians, they said, stop sending them. We just don't have the technical capability to take your complaints. And on the other side, tonight, you have Don Cherry is right, people coming to his defense, trending second in this country. So, like Don Cherry, and Coach's Corner has always been controversial, polarizing, and Adrian, it seems that's the case right up until the end.
We have not heard the end of this, I'm sure. Devin, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
So there was no official reaction from Don Cherry today, but the NHL had this to say. Well, we recognize Don Cherry's 4 decades of service broadcasting NHL games. Today's decision was a justifiable response to his comments on Saturday night. The opinions he expressed are in direct conflict with the values of diversity and inclusion that we embrace as pillars of our sport.